What's up guys, Max here with some info about an ongoing trend that's been happening with some recent games from Capcom, and one that's slightly depressing and we might have a little bit of information about, and it's the recent removal of Marvel vs. Capcom Origins from PlayStation Network, as well as Xbox Live. You guys might have remembered about a year ago we had kind of a sad day where Ultimate Marvel 3 was removed from all online purchasing, and the only way you were able to acquire a copy of that game is to find something physical in stores. And if you go to stores every once in a while, a GameStop here, a mom and pop shop there, sometimes on Amazon, sometimes on eBay, you can get a copy of Ultimate Marvel 3 still, even though it's no longer available digitally. Now, with Marvel vs. Capcom Origins, this is a much different scenario, and some people were actually seeing Marvel Origins as kind of like the ray of sunshine that, for some reason, Marvel vs. Capcom 3's license for the characters expired last year. And with that expiration, there was kind of a glimmer of hope that since other games like Marvel Origins remained up on the marketplace and were actually still available to download with Marvel characters and Capcom characters, that meant that there was a chance that there could be an update to Ultimate Marvel 3, that the relationship between Capcom and Marvel was still there, and it's pretty much total bupkis now. I think one of the bigger issues, and one of the long-standing issues why we never actually received X-Men vs. Street Fighter and X-Men Children of the Atom in terms of actual remakes, is most likely due to the association of the X-Men characters and how that's rapidly changing with Marvel now. And as we've said many times before, Marvel is a much bigger studio, and I think one of the bigger issues now is that Marvel has had relationships with a multitude of different companies, Activision making some of those Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, Capcom making fighting games and things like that. And when you put things into perspective and scale, a Capcom fighting game like Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 with a huge variety of characters, a lot of supervision, a lot of approvals, and a lot of work goes into making that game and how to make the characters look amazing as possible, and you kind of split the profits with another company. And being that in that sort of situation, I don't know if Marvel's exactly interested in that anymore. Mostly because we saw what the future of Marvel quote-unquote fighting games is, and it's that mobile game we made a video about not that long ago. Sure, that game might not look absolutely terrible, but it's years beyond what we expect, especially after seeing a game like Ultimate Marvel 3, and it is a mobile game that's designed by the guys who made the Injustice mobile game. Those games aren't terrible, they're very clearly made just for mobile devices, and they're not really fighting games for the most part. And the really funny thing is that I think that game is probably going to be fairly successful. The Injustice game, which came out on mobile devices right as Injustice came out for consoles, was ridiculously successful. A ton of people downloaded it, probably made them a ton of money, and took probably like less than a tenth of the effort to make the console game. And I believe that Marvel as a company, and if you actually look at this logically, wouldn't want to do something like a huge investment with a multi-million-dollar game with Capcom anymore when they can have a much smaller, like 1/10 of the investment in a mobile device game like the one we're seeing now. And that one will probably end up making more money than Marvel vs. Capcom 3 in the long run. It's sad, it's a really depressing, like, truth to how the industry works now, and kind of how things operate within a business environment, but it most likely is the case. And what this actually is telling us with Ultimate Marvel 3 being removed last year, with Marvel vs. Capcom Origins being removed now, that there was no chance that Capcom still had the license agreement to distribute characters for Marvel games just because Marvel Origins was up. It just was the fact that the contract agreement that was available for Marvel Origins was different than Ultimate Marvel 3, and once the contract is over, the game is only allowed to be available for so long, and that's pretty much it. And the saddest part about Marvel Origins is that this did not have a physical release like the version from before, which was Ultimate Marvel 3 and Marvel vs. Capcom 3. This game's only available digitally, so right now, until you guys actually get a chance to hear this video and understand that this is going to be available for a very limited time, you can go get it now. It's available right now for the remainder of the month on Xbox Live. And sadly, I'm hearing it's already pulled off the PlayStation Network. You can actually no longer get it on PSN, but it's available on Xbox Live until the 31st. kind of a really, really sad story in the terms of the end of the Marvel vs. Capcom kind of franchise at the moment, and it doesn't mean the end of it permanently. There definitely could be a chance of another Marvel game in the future, and I do think that this one is worth getting. Like, if you guys are looking for a game that takes advantage of extremely good netcode and is a couple of classics, Marvel Superheroes is pretty good, but Marvel vs. Capcom 1 absolutely deserves your attention. I recommend you guys get a copy. I'll leave the link in the description below for the link to the Xbox Live version. And I don't know if it's discounted as much, but you can get your copy until the 31st. And after that, you will not be able to get it again. How these things work is that you can re-download the game, but you cannot purchase a new version after the end of this year. And that is it. Marvel Origins will pretty much cease to exist. But it's nice that other games like Darkstalkers Resurrection, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, those are going to stay. I'm pretty sure you can buy those so whenever the systems go under, because they belong to Capcom, all the rights and all the characters belong to every facet of Capcom. And the problem is with these freaking Marvel games is that you're splitting the profits with another company that has a very, very clear idea of where they want their franchises to go. And now that kind of conflicts a little bit with how the games are. So it's now left in kind of limbo, and that limbo means that you can't buy them anymore unless you get a physical copy. Kind of depressing, but as I said, guys, this is your last chance to get a copy of Marvel vs. Capcom Origins on Xbox 360. I highly recommend you do so. It's a fantastic game. But if you don't, at the same time, you can still emulate the games, go online, play them online in things like GGPO and Fightcade, but they run a lot better on the console version because they're properly optimized for the system. I'm going to be playing some games online with folks to kind of commemorate this game and the fact that it's only been available for 2 years, and it is going away, but this is your final chance to finally get your hands on it if you haven't yet. But that's it, guys. That's kind of my theory about the future of the Marvel vs. Capcom games between the relationship of Marvel and Capcom. And I do think at this point, based off this thing happening, I don't think we're going to see a Marvel Versus title for quite a long time. I do think there's a chance of another Versus title showing up in the future, but between Capcom and Marvel, the only way it's going to happen now is if Marvel literally goes to Capcom once again and says, we want you to make a fighting game, and gives Capcom a budget to make the fighting game. And I don't see that happening anytime soon. It might be quite some time before it does, or until another, couple Avengers movies down the line. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. As always, thank you very much for watching. My name is Maximilian, and I'll see you next time.